Hi YouTube, it's Alan. Um, so I wanted to talk today about my evolving feelings about my gender identity and about being out as trans. Um, so, okay, I'll tell some things in chronological order here. Um, so it is January right now. It is January 21st, the day of the women's marches. By the way, I went to one in my hometown and it was really awesome and powerful, and I'm glad I went. Um, anyway, so yeah, so it's January. Now, back in the summer, like over 6 months ago, I had kind of started to realize that I was feeling not totally binary in terms of gender, um, in the sense that, like, in the beginning of my transition a couple years ago, I was feeling like identifying as quite male. Like, oh, I'm a trans man, by which I mean I'm a man, and I'm a straight man, and I'm interested in dating straight women, and I don't want to have to walk around and look visibly queer all the time like I did before transition because I was a butch woman. Those are the types of things that I was thinking or feeling. But, a little while back, as I said, 6 months ago or whatever, um, um, yeah, I started to feel like, well, no, that doesn't totally represent me, actually. And then once I got past some of the novelty and satisfaction of being viewed as male, being viewed kind of as my real self, then once I got past that, I realized that that wasn't totally accurate and that I wanted something a bit different. So, the way that I feel, personally, just me, I'm not saying this applies to anyone else, um, I, these days I don't really identify as just male, or like just a man. I mean, yeah, that's how I go through the world for the most part, but I identify as, well, just what I am, which is a trans man who spent 31 years living as female and who has been very much molded by that experience, as you can hear about in my video entitled I Am a Woman Politically and Experientially, or something like that, which a lot of people gave a thumbs down, which I'm not too surprised about because people don't like when you try to do something other than the either or gender binary. Um, but whatever, I don't care. Um, so, yeah, what was I saying? These are abstract things. It's hard to keep my train of thought. But I was saying that, yeah, I don't totally identify as just a 100% man. I identify as someone with female experience and a somewhat like woman's way of viewing the world because of my experience. And I put that in quotes because, what does that really mean? These terms mean different things to different people. But, yeah. So, and I here's how I can put some of this about my identity. So I feel like if I feel like in a way maybe I should have been born male because I feel like a a totally male body would kind of make more sense to me and be more comfortable than the body that I actually have. Um, but at the same time, that's not what happened. And I am who I am because of my experience and because of how I was born. And so I am who I am. And I have a certain peace with that, at least now that I've been on testosterone and had top surgery, because I don't know, it's just me. I guess I feel like I don't need to do something like lower surgery in order to be me. Um, I mean, lower surgery is a whole other topic that I shouldn't try to get into here, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just a trans man who has some female experience, and um, I'm not trying to be a typical or traditional man. Um, and in a way, I kind of like having a an identity and experience, and also a body that is multifaceted and has different possibilities. Um, how would I put this? Yeah, I don't want to be stuck in one unshifting place where I don't have possibilities for expressing various aspects of myself. Um, so, for example, I think that if I had lower surgery, or even if I was born with a fully male body, that body has certain possibilities which rule out other possibilities, like, by which I mean possibilities for example, being intimate with people. Um, I like having possibilities, options. I mean that sort of literally as well as in a more broad sense. And I know this is really abstract. It's really hard to express, but I should probably try to finish up talking about this particular thing. Um, yeah, so I don't feel like my identity and my feelings and my experience can be summed up in one tiny little category of male or man. That just, even though I feel that way, a large part of me feels that way, it's really overly simplistic for me personally. So, in that way, it does not totally represent me. So, um, yeah, so my point here is that I've been getting more, um, I've been realizing more that that is how I identify. And um, so it's just a different way of understanding myself, or a different way of wanting other people to see me, which leads me to the topic of being out as trans. So I haven't really liked how when people view me as a man, they that's actually not seeing me for who I am, because that obscures most of my life experience and the majority of what has gone on in my head. And not that I need everybody to know those things. I mean, I don't want strangers or acquaintances to even know those things about me. But if it's people that I see a lot, like obviously friends. I mean, I'm already out to pretty much all my friends, and like even with colleagues at work who see me a lot, it just feels a little weird to me if they don't know that I'm trans, because their assumptions about me are probably like radically different from my actual life, which is just weird, and I don't really like that. Plus, I'm not really into being viewed as your typical white dude. Um, be Partly because it just doesn't represent me, and partly because I don't want people to wonder things like, for example, oh, he's a white dude. Maybe he voted for Trump. That kind of thing. So, for all of these kinds of reasons, I've been a little bit more out in some ways in recent months. And then another reason for that is just to help the situation of trans people. Because I think that people, gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, whatever, for us to be out is so powerful because then people who previously thought that trans people were weird and freaky and dangerous see, oh, you're a perfectly fine person. I guess I was wrong about trans people. You know, that's so powerful. And I know a lot of trans people aren't in a situation where they're safe enough to be out, or maybe they just don't want to because of their own inner feelings. And that's fine. Everybody deserves to make their own choice, and I respect that. But for me, I thought, well, I feel pretty safe mostly, so I feel like I'm okay with at least sometimes being out. And so I have. I mean, it's not like I'm, teaching in front of my class and telling my class I'm trans. I've not done that. I don't really plan on that, at least not yet, because that feels a little overwhelming for me. But I have done stuff like I've come out to a few more people at work, and also I wrote a letter to the editor of our town's newspaper because there was this conservative column in which the columnist said, oh God, all kinds of things that just completely lacked critical thinking and lacked empathy, and he was sort of mocking trans people, saying like, Democrats lost the election because they don't realize that people in middle America are sick of all of these comical, like the 30 different gender pronouns that people want to use, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so that sent me through the roof. So I wrote a letter to the editor, which got published in the actual paper as well as on their website, which felt really good. It's pretty cool. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So in this letter, I actually came out. I said, I am a transgender man, blah, 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 and I'm trying to help people like my students learn to communicate in ways that actually are not mocking people like this columnist did. And, I tried to communicate that things like gender pronouns are not comical to trans people. They're important, and there are reasons, sad reasons, why so many trans people attempt or commit suicide. And this people like this horrible, stupid columnist are, it's a great example of what leads a lot of trans people to do such things. So that's sort of what I said in my letter, and it was published with my full name. And I was a little scared once it actually got published. I was like, oh, I came out to the whole town and the internet with my real name. Of course, I knew that could happen. It's just once it actually did happen, it was like, oh, okay, that's real now. But sadly, a lot of people don't read the paper. I wasn't afraid of my students finding it out because I think most of them would have no chance of reading the paper. But I did have a couple of colleagues see it and write me emails and tell me they thought it was good. So that was nice. Yeah, so that's just an example of where I've been at lately in terms of being out and feeling like that can potentially make a big difference, and feeling like it's also a better reflection of who I really am, how I actually identify which is, as I said, as a transgender man of transgender experience rather than just man. Um, yeah, so I guess that kind of sums up a lot of my recent thoughts. Um, oh yeah, I could also add just sort of a little tidbit about how after the horrible election, that is actually a lot of what galvanized me to be more out. Like, pretty much right after the election, I went online and I got some t-shirts and also some buttons to wear because I thought, not only do I want to show other people that I didn't vote for Trump just for the sake of my own, like, reputation or something, but also I want to have a certain visibility so that other people who might feel threatened by our current government and the people who support it will know that I am on their side. It makes a difference when you're just walking around and you see somebody where they have some sort of sign or signal that they are sort of with you. That's really powerful. That can make people feel better, and that's worth something. So I happen to have them right here because I was wearing them at the Women's March and they got a little wet in the rain. So I have this one, and I am nervous when I wear it, but I take it just as an exercise in being mentally stronger, which feels good. And then I love this one. I wear this to the gym somewhat often. This is what a feminist looks like. I was wearing this over my jacket at the march this morning, and some woman wanted to stand next to me and get a picture taken with me, which was cool. Oh yeah, if you're interested, because I've had a couple of people tell me that they want this shirt, I got this on Cafe Press, I think. So if you just go to cafepress.com and type in those words, you'll probably see it. Yeah. And I got a button that says Black Lives Matter, and I wore that to school a few times. So that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'd be curious to hear if any of you have thoughts or experiences that connect to any of this, or what are your thoughts about being out, especially considering our current just insane situation in the US? Yeah, so that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, you guys. See you later.